Being the voice of Mowgli in the Jungle Book was the beginning of my career in filmmaking. But within 2 or 3 years after college, I realized that making movies about the natural world was what I really wanted to make my life about. My dad, Wooly Reitherman, directed the Jungle Book. He began as an animator in the very early days before Snow White, and had studied quite literally at the feet of the master, Walt Disney. And along the way, he had picked up a few of the salient points of filmmaking. I sometimes wonder whether, having grown up in a household where my dad was animating animals my whole life, didn't have some influence on the direction I ended up taking my own career in becoming a nature cameraman and wildlife filmmaker. I think at the heart of it, there is a lesson that I learned early on from my dad's discipline as an artist, was that observing life is the foundation of any good storytelling. The Disney animators love to tell stories and love to make the storytelling part of the fabric of their lives, and so it became part of the fabrics of our families and just part of what we did as kids. An interesting point of comparison between what I've done for a living and what my dad did was that they both require trying to capture a certain sense of personality or character in a particular animal's life. And that same thing transfers through to animation, where they're capturing the essence of bearness. When they animate Baloo, he's a bear, and yet on top of this, they layer up this wonderful sense of his human qualities. The Disney animators had a sense of showmanship, but also generosity, where it was important for them to make these images come alive for the audience. That's been a lesson that I've tried to apply to my own work. This is one of my favorite places in California to come to shoot wildlife. It's near San Simeon in the middle of the winter. Several thousand elephant seals come here every year to pup and breed. One of the things I like best about elephant seals is that there's so much personality. My dad was a tremendous help when I was first getting started in the business, encouraging me to move in the direction of strong storytelling with character and personality. In fact, I carry around with me this folder that he gave me more than 20 years ago now, that includes a couple of letters that he wrote to me during that time when I was in Mexico. One of them, with my dad's sense of humor, is titled Pearls of Wisdom by Popper, which is the name I used to call him by. And he tells me in this letter a few basic things about the craft of filmmaking. It has to be your story, because in some important way, people are listening to the storyteller, and they have to trust you somehow to tell them a story that is true to life. Take the time to jot down your feelings. Think in terms of characters and personalities. Humor is number 4 on the list. Appeal, warmth, the cozy family kind of feeling that youngsters and young babies and things give to an audience. Pathos, make it dramatic, don't forget the frightening. And interestingly enough, execution is towards the bottom of the list. It's not unimportant, but it is in some ways not as important as trying to convey some personal, unique sense of how you feel about things through the medium of your filmmaking. It is quite simplified, but there's a nut of Disney filmmaking at its heart, right there in that sheet of paper. It's just the fundamental basis of good entertainment. One of the things I cherish most about some of the time I spent with my dad towards the end of his life was that he spent several weeks on this remote little island in Baja California, where I'd been living for several winters. You could get up close to whales and large birds of prey and coyotes and a variety of other animals. He actually drove down from Burbank in his Continental, and then I picked him up on my pickup truck and we drove down another 45 miles of bad dirt road to get to the place where we were working. He came down partly to help teach me how to make films, but as it turned out, much of what we did was a revelation to him, having spent years now watching these ospreys, these amazing hawks that catch fish, knowing their life histories from the time they were young chicks to the time that they were now having their own young. He was very impressed by the fact that you could come up with such detailed information about individual animals' lives, and that somehow opened up for him an aspect of nature that he'd never, I think, been as aware of before. Most kids go through their lives with their parents as someone who opens up the world for them, who teaches them how to throw the baseball, who reads them the fairy tale, who provides the little life lesson in how to drive a car or how to tie your tie for the senior prom. It was an unexpected thing for me to find myself on the other side of that now, to be in a position of opening up some aspect of the world to my dad's curiosity. It was a very moving experience for me.